what's going on here. Now, Nomi, you may have a better sense of this. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, do people hang around the commissary at Fox News and talk about who they like? But Bolton was on, he did a lot of like Fox and Friends stuff. He was all over the place. And here is Kilmeade. And I can't help but think that Kilmeade is like caught between the authoritarian fealty he feels towards the president and maybe like just some sense of like, John Bolton's a buddy of mine. We would go and,
they'd go across the street and have steaks at the steakhouse where they all go on Friday nights. You know what I'm talking about.
I was going to guess. They just go out and have steaks and smoke cigars.
If you're ever in New York and you want to have some fun, go to the steakhouse. I forgot the name of it. It's really famous. Across the street from Fox News on 48th and
Is it like Smith and Walensky or something?
No,
it's not that one.
It's a chain. They have another one by MSNBC. It's a little smaller,
I don't know.
more affordable one. But go there Friday nights or Thursday nights, and all of the Fox stars are there having drinks, including the Democrats. Like, I've been there, after a show or something. It is hilarious. I don't eat steak. So
well, here is Brian Kilmeade. I don't think I could walk into that situation and walk out.
Oh my God, we should go undercover. That's a great perk.
Here is Brian Kilmeade.
New York Times brought up the fact that they said that John Bolton has been distributing copies to any or all, to everyone. They said that we did not. They said the Times reporting there says they shared the manuscript with others is false. They say they did it through the process, and the process obviously is corrupt.
Pause it for 1 second. Now, here's the thing. It's very difficult to figure out what happened here, but the Times says that the manuscript was delivered to the White House so they could check it for security clearances. The Bolton's lawyer came out and said that we sent the manuscript there. The White House the Times talks about people seeing the drafts. We don't know if the leak came from the White House. However, Bolton's lawyer and clearly has a sense that they shared the manuscript with people who weren't supposed to see it. Like Donald Trump's lawyers, for instance, right? Like that has nothing to do with that. That has to do with the impeachment stuff. And so he's basically, Bolton's lawyer is basically saying, like, if you come after Bolton like you did Comey and start an investigation, you're going to have to investigate who the White House gave it to and show all that, because we know that you did. Even if the leak didn't necessarily come from there, it's unclear. But here's Brian Kilmeade, and they're trying to talk about how Trump is somehow victimized by this because, of course, he's always the victim.
Is false. They say they did it through the process, and the process obviously is corrupt. So if John Bolton's lawyers are telling the truth here and they just submitted it in and it's leaked out, if that is indeed the case, more evidence that people within the administration are actually against the administration. And the other thing is devastating timing, because this thing was on the fast track to closing out without witnesses on Friday. Only Mitt Romney pretty much saying, I want to see witnesses. Everybody else saying, I've heard enough. And now this gives fuel to the Senator Schumers of the world, the Adam Schiffs of the world, to say, I need a witness, and he wants to testify.
But when you say devastating timing, it's got to be a coincidence, right? That it would come out just hours before the Senate impeachment is going to start at 1 o'clock.
Okay, so there's Ducey trying to do some type of sarcasm, I guess. But the amazing thing is they're going to try and make Donald Trump be the victim, that he can't seem to hire anybody in his administration who's not working against the administration.
I thought I could at least hire Fox News contributors.
That's the problem. So when they turn on him, they just go back on TV.
Right.
And
There's
do what they
absolutely no honor amongst thieves. That's the problem. They're just like, they've got Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman. I mean, I don't know how you get to record a president in a frank conversation so easily.
Your phones should be taken. Any other situation with a senator, if you meet with a senator, for the most part, I assume, the staff is going to say, please, don't, for a highly sensitive meeting. But the president, for sure.
One would think that they were on top of this.
He also tweets from his phone, which I think he's the first president he actually has Obama had a BlackBerry until Blackberries went extinct and then he bought them all out and kept them.
Very strange. Very, very strange. But there it is. Fox News trying to figure out how they're going to spin this. And the only way they can do it so far is that Donald Trump has been victimized by his own inability to hire anybody who doesn't stab him in the back.
Is the former head of Fox News still working on Trump's campaign? Does anybody know?
I know who you're talking about.
Bill, oh my God.
I think he's still in the White House. He's Sean Hannity's best bud.
Yeah.
Oh, I think he's on the campaign now.
Right.
Actually, not in the White House. But here it is. Here is Ducey.
Because if the president said, I'll give you the money, but you got to investigate Joe Biden, that is really off the rails wrong. Apparently, it says Bolton was told Trump wanted to continue freezing money to Ukraine until they helped with probes of the Bidens. But we heard him say in the transcript he wanted President Zelensky to look into the Bidens and what happened in 2016. So is this a big story?
You think?
That's like
the goalpost. Is this a big story?
Wait, is this really four bigs? This is one more example of how flummoxed they are about this Bolton testimony, because it's literally as if like Donald Trump Jr. just like stood up one day and said, I need to have a press conference. I got a couple of things to get off my chest. And then basically just, that they don't know how to react to this. And here is Mike Braun, Senator Mike Braun, who is, one of these like sort of like a Ron Johnson type of like guy who, no nonsense. I'm just a businessman. I'm not a politician. I don't use mealy mouth words. And he has been sent out the past couple of days to talk about this. And it looks now like he got the short straw. He's on the Casey Hunt show.
Do you care that John Bolton is saying that the president had a quid pro quo for money that Congress authorized for this purpose?
I mean, I think that he's out there saying that's going to be part of his book. When it comes to
now, pause it for 1 second. I'm sorry. We're going to start again. I will challenge anybody to tell me what he is saying. Like, I know the words, but like the combination of words he uses here, I want to know exactly what is the gist of what he's saying here, even broad strokes.
Do you care that John Bolton is saying that the president had a quid pro quo for money that Congress authorized for this purpose?
I mean, I think that he's out there saying that's going to be part of his book. When it comes to his saying that, then you'd have to go through all the things you do with any witness. The integrity of the witness. Is there anything that would motivate him to do it?
Do you question John Bolton's integrity?
No, but you'd go through that, especially.
I mean, this is a guy who's been a conservative hawk, part of the national security establishment for years.
But I think once that would come into the mix, you'd have to take everything else that would come along with it. You'd have to let the defense team pile through all of that, and you'd have to see what you come up with. And my gut tells me, and we're all kind of dealing with what we think is going to happen, that the case so far did not deliver the goods, the information to where anybody has changed their mind. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, since this came hot off the press just a little bit ago.
But again, I mean, just to go back to, I understand how we got here, but now John Bolton is saying, I'll come testify before the Senate if you subpoena me. And he potentially has.
Before.
Sure, yes. But now he's saying, we were to a certain extent expecting the lead of this New York Times story to be what John Bolton has to say. How can you stand up and say, sorry, I don't want to hear it?
Well, the difference would be now a snippet of what is probably going to be in the book has been released, and we'll all have to size that up and see what we think, how it impacts our own decision and what we do with more information.
My God.
So this is how a trial works. I'm going to walk you through step by step and not share any perspective.
That's I just think that the ability for him to sit there and not go like, is that going to work? Oh, yeah. Shit. Are we live? Like, the question was, do you care that this information has come out? And he's like, well, he's saying it. He's saying it in a book, but you got to look at his integrity. Do you have an issue with his integrity? No, absolutely not. I don't. But I'm saying, like, you got to look at it. And then there's stuff that comes with that. And my gut tells me that this case so far has not, done anything, and we'll see what happens.
That's the hint, though, the integrity. That's what stuck out, that he is alluding to they're going to challenge his integrity, which, John Bolton's integrity.
I mean,
not tough to challenge.
I mean, I guess what they're going to have to do is argue like he is lying.
Yeah. Yep.
But for them to get to the point where he's lying, you have to tell everybody what he's lying about, right? And then it becomes like, then we got to decide, like, I don't know. I mean, it's like, are you hungry? Well, lunch exists, and in the past, lunch has existed as well. It could be in the future. We're just not going to know. No, but are you hungry? Food. There's food. Food exists, and the way that people grow it is they grow it or they harvest it. So.